appreciate this opportunity to be able to do this second webinar in a 5-part series to implementation specialists and their customers and folks who are joining us. We welcome all of you. We're happy to be here and excited to show this. So we did do one webinar in July. That was an overview of our SalesPad product, and so today we're continuing on with the second webinar called Cavallo CRM, an easy to use and implement CRM solution for Dynamics GP that won't break the bank or require CRM administrator. So let's break that down. Easy to use. If you are currently using Dynamics GP, then you will know how to use Cavallo CRM. The interface looks exactly the same, real easy to use. Easy to implement. We can get you up and running very quickly. It doesn't take much time at all. Nice thing is, the CRM solution for Dynamics GP, we are seamlessly integrated out of the box, real time. So you do not have to pay for the customization of integrating to, say, some other CRM solutions out in the industry, example, Salesforce, maybe Microsoft CE, things to that nature. Won't break the bank. Very affordable, easy to implement, cost effective, and I can show you how this solution will pay for itself. As well as does not require a CRM administrator typically. With many of those other CRM products out there, you are probably looking to have a full-time staff member as your CRM administrator. So as Chad mentioned, my name is Bob Baresh. I'm a regional sales executive in the Midwest. I am joined today by my colleague, Colin Orlando. He's a senior sales engineer, and he will be leading a demo in a few minutes. I just wanted to cover a few things, a little presentation before we jump into that software demo. And so speaking of which, here's today's objectives. I'm just going to do a real quick brief overview of Cavallo and our CRM GP. We'll get into that software demo, and as Chad had indicated, please do not save your questions till the end. We're happy to answer them then, but by all means, use your control panel to drop those questions in as they pop up for you, and we'll try to get those addressed. So quickly, a quick product overview. This is kind of a review of our last webinar. If you wanted to know more about SalesPad and Cavallo, Chad has that recording available for you on the implementation specialist website. But real quickly, this is kind of a snapshot of Cavallo. We currently have 2 products, one of which integrates with Microsoft Dynamics GP, and it's called SalesPad. And then we've recently launched a product for Microsoft's Dynamics 365 Business Central product called our Distribution Cloud. It's been in market since January, and it's been taking off nicely. And then on top of that, we have an analytics cloud. So execution, that's primarily what we're going to be focusing on today with our CRM solution. These are your day-to-day operational type functions, features, capabilities, things that you're doing day in and day out. As an example, within CRM, it's managing your prospecting tasks, creating quotes and orders, things to that nature on your operations side. But there's tons of other functionality, which I'll show you in another slide in our execution layer. The control layer, that's where we have our workflow automation processes, where we can set up rules to help automate certain tasks, functions, and features that you may be doing manually today, which we can automate to help save you some clicks and some time. And then the intelligence layers, that's our process performance. These are dashboards, ways to business intelligence and things that we can do to help monitor your business, to help spot maybe any bottlenecks before they happen, so you can address them before they cause any issues. So real quickly, as a quick overview of Cavallo and our products, this is the way we stack up. Now, I'd like to address that elephant in the room that seems to come up on almost every conversation I'm involved with when I talk about Dynamics GP. Everybody keeps saying, hey, this product's going away, especially the competition. So many of the other ERP competitors out there want to convince people that Dynamics GP is going by the wayside. Believe it or not, Microsoft has published this slide stating they are planning to continue to support and develop this product through 2028 and beyond. Doesn't mean it stops at 2028. They're going to continue on. I ask you to maybe look at, say, products like NetSuite, Oracle. Oracle can't even publish a 1-year roadmap for that product, and here Microsoft's putting out a 6-year roadmap. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And here at Cavallo, we understand that, we realize that, we feel this Dynamics GP community is underserved, which is why we are making some significant investments into this space with a new product like we have in our CRM. And we're doing, we've got a lot of other features and functions that we're adding into the space as well. It's a space we feel that there's huge opportunity to help prolong the life of your Dynamics GP. It doesn't have to die off. You've got a huge investment. I've been in the Dynamics GP for 20 years, and companies have made some significant investments in this ERP solution. We're here to help enhance it, prolong the life, make it even better, and provide huge new features and functions for you. Here's kind of a flow chart, right? So we got Dynamics GP. It's a great product, does a lot of features and functions, does many things that it needs to do, but it's not good at everything. That's why there's thousands of ISVs in the market for Dynamics GP. SalesPad is one of those ISV products that Cavallo produces. And from there, we've kind of already sort of touched on that execution, control, and intelligence layers. Within that execution, we can address many operational aspects of your business. For example, CRM sales, order management, warehouse management, replenishment, shipping, collection. And then we also, like I said, have the workflow automations and the control layer and the process performance and the business intelligence layer. Not only that, we take it one step further. We've already got integrations created with a number of those ISVs out in the industry. And I'll show you who those are right here on this slide. So right now, these are the current modules and applications we have available. There's a lot of features and functions within each of these modules, but at a high level, this sort of gives you a little snapshot or a picture of all the things that we can do. Today, primarily, we're probably focusing more around the CRM aspects of SalesPad, but you can see, it does much more than just the CRM aspects. Quotes, orders, configurator pricing, customer portals, dispatch, equipment, inventory management. We have a mobile app. You can take care of your purchasing and your returns management, shipping, and then we have a bridge product. So if you remember back on that first slide where I showed you Business Central, if you're not currently, if you're still using GP at some point in the future, you said, hey, I may want to move to the cloud. No worries. If you're on Dynamics GP and SalesPad, we can bridge over to Business Central where you can kind of take a slow move to the cloud. Using SalesPad as your operational side of the business and then Business Central as your accounting and finance. And then at which point in time you say, hey, I'm ready to move fully over to the cloud, we can help migrate you over to our distribution cloud product for Business Central to take care of the operational pieces to your business. And then again, there's the control and the intelligence as we've briefly touched on already. Cavallo CRM for Dynamics GP, it's just pretty straightforward. We can help track and manage leads and opportunities as well as your prospecting tasks. We can unite your sales and prospecting processes along with your order management processes to help create quotes and orders. And we can seamlessly move your sales planning and lead capture to order entry and account management tasks. Real high level, that's kind of in a nutshell. It does much more than that, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of flavor and idea of what it's all about. So when I mentioned it was easy to implement and affordable, we're making it even more affordable. If you wanted to try out our CRM GP free for 30 days, try it before you buy it. We're going to set it up and implement it for unlimited users. We're not going to charge you for that implementation, at which point in time after 30 days you decide to make the purchase. What we do is we'll configure up a solution for you and provide some pricing illustrations around that. So try it before you buy it. If you want to learn more about this, you're certainly welcome to contact me directly. And again, as I mentioned, this is number 2 in a 5-part webinar series we're doing for implementation specialists. Again, the first one was recorded. This one is being recorded as well. And we've got another one coming up in September where we're going to touch on that control layer and that business intelligence layer with our workflow and analytics cloud. And then in October, we're going to take a look into our fulfillment process with our inventory management and shipping capabilities. And then leading up to implementation specialist GPUC event in November, we're going to touch on one of our integration points with our Key to Act connector. So we'd love to have you on any of these. If you're not able to make them, they will be recorded as well and available for you on demand. And if that isn't enough, if you think you need to learn more or want to find out more about Cavallo and our products, we do offer a customer event at the end of September in Grand Rapids, Michigan. we'd certainly love to have you there. You can certainly check into it more at cavallo.com. But there's another opportunity to even learn more about our services and our products. So if you'd like to see how SalesPad can save your company time and money, contact me. If you'd like to see or understand how SalesPad can prolong the life of your Dynamics GP, reach out, contact me. I can help you understand it. And if you'd like to realize how SalesPad pays for itself, again, certainly be happy to show you the ROI on your investment into our Cavallo products. My contact information is listed there, and I'd love to hear from you if you want to have a private discussion. And without further ado, that's the end of my quick presentation. I want to turn the floor over to Colin Orlando to provide you with a demo of our CRM for Dynamics GP. So Colin, by all means, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to pass over the presenter role here.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. What? Unless, is that chat, are you passing it over, or how do I hand that over?
I think I have it now.
You
Yeah,
do? Okay, chat probably
I
did
think
it.
you should have it, Colin. There you go.
Yep.
Yep.
We now
Is everybody seeing SalesPad all right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. And hello again, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this call. And thank you for taking the time to see Cavallo CRM for Dynamics GP, what we're capable of. Before I dig into the meat and potatoes of this demonstration here, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to our friends at Implementation Specialists for organizing this today. We realize how much time means to people these days, especially in a ever-growing world with the supply chain and so on and so forth. We really appreciate your time and taking to see what Cavallo has to offer today. So in today's presentation, we'll be taking a look at several different modules built into Cavallo SalesPad, namely CRM, and what that means for Cavallo is topics such as how do we view our prospects and customers within the system? How can we track our opportunities and prospects, as well as ensure our customers are fully ready to transact against? And lastly, how do we maintain that database or one-stop shop for customer communication? So how do we view those interactions in one system rather than having a bunch of different siloed email inboxes? And so that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Before we dig into the super big details of that, I would like to just give a 30,000 foot view of SalesPad, quickly what we offer and how we're kind of built UI-wise, just to give everybody an understanding and an even playing field. So as Bob kind of alluded to, we're built in kind of conjunction on top of Dynamics GP. So we're executing real time, we're using eConnect. And so those things like your customers and your orders, those will all be visible, whether you create them in SalesPad and pass them back to Dynamics, or whether you create them in Dynamics, they'll be visible in SalesPad. So again, a very seamless integration type feel here. So we're using those same tables from Dynamics. We're also adding a couple of tables to that equation. Some of those that we'll see today include your prospects and your opportunities. So a benefit of that, keeping those separate from your customer database, being able to kind of monitor that pipeline accordingly and take action against individual prospects rather than having to monitor customers and figure out which customers are prospects, so on and so forth. We kind of take that information and we separate it and silo it in our own set of tables so that you can keep track of that better. Additionally, with that, we are built on a tabular type system. So you'll notice at the top, much like any of your Google Chrome type web browsers, we can actually go from tab to tab, and I can also right click and untab. So I can work in multiple monitors still. Maybe I want to keep this monitor type view on one screen while I'm working on a customer and order on another screen. We give you that ability to continue that efficiency. Additionally, you'll notice on my screen, we have what we call our workflow engine. Now, we're not going to get too much into the workflow engine today, but there are a couple of aspects that are really important, I think, for individuals to grasp about Cavallo SalesPad, and namely that it's completely configurable. So you'll notice on the left-hand side of your screen, all of these different named batches in my system are batches I've created in my environment. Whatever your named sales process is for you, we can help you establish that and apply some business logic behind the scenes in our workflow engine to logically route orders, reduce the human intervention and human error parts of the ordering process. And we do this in more than just one area of the business, which is why I wanted to point it out. Under the hood here in our workflow setup, all of these different tabs along the top, and of course we're not getting into all of them today, are different business objects that we can essentially workflow against in our system. One of those being customer workflow, and we'll get into that a little bit today. And so this is why I wanted to make sure we brought up the concept of workflow and what it does. So kind of under the hood with that, we're able to assign a logical queue order, and this is pertaining to our customer business object. So the logical order that a customer must progress in our system before we're actually allowed to transact against them in one form or another. In my system, this is a new customer going through a credit check, terms, tax exempt, assigning a rep, so on and so forth. And you'll notice on the far right-hand side of my screen here, I'm actually able to block specific transactions, so specific groups against transacting against that customer until they're ready. In my system, I'm blocking sales, but you can see any sort of group that you make with different security layers in your environment, you can actually block to transact against the customer until they're actually ready to transact against. So for me, in my demo environment, we're waiting for that customer to get their welcome letter automatically sent out in their email, and I'll walk us through that process a little bit later on. But just another way that we're kind of taking the human error aspect out of the process. Last but not least, two different topics here as far as our UI is concerned. We have what's known as our auto filter row here. So we are able to logically filter down to different customers based on specific criteria. For example, if I were to go to my customer search here, and this exists throughout majority of Cavallo SalesPad, and do a wide open population of my customer base, and I wanted to search for customers in the state of Washington, typing WA here will enable me to do a real-time filter down. So anywhere you see these little green squares underneath the column headers is an area of the auto filter row, and that's throughout majority of our product. And last but not least, our column headers. We're built on a grid type system. The big reason behind this being we want the UI to be able to work for you in your particular role in your organization. So when I'm talking about grid system, we can click and drag, make the screen work for us. We also have a number of user fields built into our column chooser. So some of these come out of the box and they're standard GP fields that we're pulling against. Others we can actually create through our user-defined field creator, and it allows you to create 120 plus user fields for each business object. Before we tend to see any sort of server lag, we really like to say an unlimited amount of user-defined fields. And you can actually just pull those in and then have that information populated for you. And when you're done with that column, simply click and drag it off. So a really nice tool to organize each individual screen for your individual role. And again, to kind of preface the CRM aspect of this, we also have what's known as our opportunity workflow monitor. So with this is allowing you to control your pipeline or your funnel. Your funnel here on the right-hand side of my screen. You'll notice we have that nice little funnel diagram for you. And on the far left-hand side of our screen, we have our opportunity workflow. So being able to actually name those individual steps in your process. This is just what mine looks like. Again, keep in mind, we're going to assist you in naming those for your individual business, completely configurable. But it allows you to see where, go ahead.
I think the takeaway that Colin you mentioned was configurable, right? So you can set this up to what's the view that's most comfortable for you, and name things what you want them to be named. So sorry to interrupt, but it's a key point, a key takeaway.
It is, and a lot of the time we run into conversations of using the term customizable, and I know in this field, the word custom scares a lot of folks away. So we try to really emphasize that it's configurable. It's not something that takes a custom developer to go ahead and do any sort of coding on top of what we have here. This is a simple process to go ahead and name each stage, whatever logically works for your organization. So I think that's a great point.
Exactly. Don't confuse configurable with customizable. Configurable doesn't cost you anything. Customizable usually means dollar signs.
Exactly. So as we work through our prospect today, just keep that in mind. The opportunities will be separate from your quotes and orders and invoices. This is just an area for you to monitor pipeline activity or funnel activity. Make note of those opportunities, give them a description and even a opportunity status like a new op or an upside, for example. And also the same goes with prospects. We're separating your prospects away from your customers until the time comes where they're actually ready to transact against. And moving into our prospect search and CRM in general, Our CRM module is a DLL file that is dropped into Cavallo SalesPad. You'll have a separate tab for that broken out along the top of your screen. And there's a number of different securities and settings that come with that. The CRM setup pertains to what we just kind of discussed with being able to name your opportunity statuses along with your classes and prospect sources. And when we say configurable, again, this is as configurable as it gets, being able to just go in, hit add, and type a little source description, super plain English, no code required there. Additionally, you'll have your prospect search area here, which is where you'll be able to view all of your prospects in your environment. You'll notice that there is 2 checkboxes here. Some are open and some are historical. All of the prospects in my system are currently historical because I'm using this for demo purposes. As you convert your prospects into customers, they'll become a historical prospect. So you can still view them in the prospect search area if you have that checkbox marked, but just know that they're actually going to be a customer in GP. You can view them on both sides once they're actually converted. So we can go ahead and create a prospect on the Cavallo side of the house here. And this is the screen that will pop up when we go to create a new prospect. So it's kind of a dubbed down version of creating a customer. You'll notice we have a auto assigned number, so we can go ahead and just assign it a name. We'll do Ken's prospect for today. And then from the class and source and sales rep lists, these are lists that you've configured on your end. So when we're talking about the CRM setup, again, that's going to be your classes that you've defined. So maybe in this case, it's a hard goods prospect. We also have a source. We could say, hey, we got a referral for this particular prospect. And then when it comes to your rep and territory, these are fields that are being pulled from Dynamics. So they'll have all of your lists of sales reps and the territories that are broken out in them. I'll go ahead and select Paul with territory 1 in my environment. And then we can go ahead and save that prospect. Now you'll notice as soon as we save it, we have our number assigned and visible to us now. We also have a queue assigned. So much like the opportunity workflow, the customer workflow, it's a really big concept within Cavallo SalesPad. We allow you to build out these unique workflows. We also have a prospect monitor that you can name stages for your prospect and change them accordingly. Now we see some customers use this more than others. We also see a lot of our customers using the customer workflow to kind of name steps once the prospect becomes an actual customer. It really just depends how you do CRM, how you envision prospects becoming customers in your environment, and if you actually have a purpose in naming them or making them a qualified, or if you have a product trial, for example. Those are some examples that we've seen where you actually make out a prospect workflow. Another thing to mention here is I've had conversations with a lot of our customers involving CRM, and they really don't like the concept of garbage in, garbage out. Their sales reps often take the lazy, path out, don't fill out all this information. We do have scripting capabilities to require fields on this particular area. So if there are fields that we need to be required before saving, we do have the capabilities to do that. And I just want to point that out because I know it is important in this industry to make sure that we're getting qualified, good information, not just something to check a box and have a prospect added to our environment. And we save a ton of room down here for the contacts for this particular prospect, opportunities associated, and interactions. Those are the main 3 tabs that we'll go ahead and talk about today when it comes to our prospects. So we can go ahead and add an existing contact or create a new one. For time's sake here, we'll just go ahead and add an existing contact, and this will pull any of the contacts within my system. I can go ahead and assign here. I'll go and take Ken, since it's Ken's prospecting, and we'll go ahead and assign him to this particular prospect. At this point, you'll notice the ship to and bill tos are also empty. If we wanted to take the address associated with any of the contacts in our system, we can highlight and mark, so we can mark it as the primary. We could also mark individually as a primary ship to address and continue that process out for bill to, so on and so forth. So if there's a good address here for that particular prospect for their ship to and bill to, we can ensure that's populated in the fields here, and that'll go ahead and carry over at the time that we actually convert the prospect to a customer. Our interactions tab is actually one of my favorites to talk about within SalesPad. And this is the tab that exists both on the prospect side, the order side, and the customer side. And it allows you to have a integration with Microsoft Outlook. So we're reading and writing emails back and forth with that product, as well as the calendar. Those interactions that you go ahead and create underneath a prospect in your system will carry over when we convert them to a customer as well. So you're not losing that repository of information, which I think is a good point to make as well. We can fire off emails from inside SalesPad. So if I wanted to go ahead and just do this really quick and do a test, I can just shoot that off and have that email be recorded for me under my interactions area, as well as I can drag this over, the email being instantaneously sent to my email. So it's that fast. It works great with Outlook. And I use Google Meets on my side. So we're showing from inside SalesPad, Cavallo SalesPad view for that. But just know if we're replying to that email, any sort of match that we have between the contact email and the customer, we'll go ahead and record within Cavallo SalesPad, and those will carry over when we actually convert that into a customer. You'll notice we can convert to a customer or create an opportunity from the top of our screen here. Those are two plugins that are available to us from the prospect card. What we can also do is navigate over to our opportunities tab and either add or create an opportunity for this particular prospect. So if there is an opportunity out there that maybe we're bidding out, we can add it to multiple prospects at once, or we can just go ahead and create a new one and allow the number to be auto assigned. And again, it's kind of a dubbed down version of creating a sales order. So I'll go ahead and add my line items here. And a great thing about Cavallo SalesPad is our ability to look up items. We can type it in by our actual description, the full SKU, part of the SKU, and it'll allow us to do a sales inventory lookup with this nice little screen pop up here, nice window, and view all of the SKUs that have any sort of match. So in this particular case, I'm not matching the beginning. I'm just searching for anything with HD in it, and it's pulling in all of those parts in my system that contain HD. You'll notice, even though we're at the opportunity stage right now, this applies across the board, whether you're doing quoting or sales ordering within SalesPad. You're able to get a nice breakout of your real-time available versus on-hand inventories. We do allocations. We have separate fulfillment capabilities. So we're allowing you to see what's actually available for you to commit to a customer at any given point in our sales cycle. We found that super mission critical for distributors to be able to have that accurate inventory number, know whether you're going to have to commit to a back order or not. So even though we're at the opportunity standpoint, it'll still help us find the right SKU, but also give us a nice little snapshot of what's actually available to us and which warehouse those are actually located in. Now we'll go ahead and add my part number. We could change this to a quantity of 4, select our unit of measure here, and assign a price. We'll just give it a flat 1,000, and that's just going to be our basic opportunity that exists within the system. As I'd mentioned here, we could also say something like hard drives up top and give it a description so that we can go ahead and report on that, or even a status ID as upside, and then go ahead and save. So at this point, we have opportunity 47 at the end here. And if we were to go over and refresh, it's instantaneously going to be in our batch here for our new opportunities. And as this progresses through our sales cycle, we'll be able to either release it up top, and this will allow it to progress to the next stage for prospecting. We also have the drop-down capabilities here to select any individual queue you want to go ahead and navigate that to. So closed one, for example. And at the time we're actually ready to go ahead and take an opportunity that's closed one and convert it to an actual quote in our system, you'll notice we have a nice plugin at the top that'll do so. It'll allow you to go ahead and select any of the individual line items that we want to go ahead and take and create, make it into the quote. So maybe there's 3 or 4, but they're only purchasing 2 of those. We have that ability. And we'll hit OK and let the system do the rest of the work. Now, one thing I will say is now that we've gone ahead and taken that opportunity and created it into a quote, that prospect is now historical in our system and turned into a real-time customer. So if I go ahead and hit the customer number for Ken's prospect, you'll notice that we're now in a customer card in SalesPad. So this is a real-time GP customer now. We've converted an opportunity to do a quote, but also seamlessly the prospect into a customer. So now this will be viewable whether you're looking in SalesPad or using our connection out into Dynamics. You can do one or the other, but it is looking kind of bare bones. We don't have a full customer build yet, and that's kind of where that customer workflow comes into play. So if I'll go ahead and navigate to the top of our screen here, we have that customer monitor. So the view that we'll be able to actually see Ken's prospecting going through all these individual checks in the system. And the great thing about this is if I am somebody who's working on whether that be an order, an opportunity, a customer, you can uncheck these queues and you can only select, say, specific queue that actually applies to your individual role. Personally, I came from working at a tech VAR called Trace3, and we used Cavallo SalesPad software there every day, day in and day out. And in operations where I was building server configurations out, I would monitor my queue, and this would tell me my workload for the day. I could go take action against those orders, make sure my particular role was done. And it's a great way to just monitor your work without getting too overwhelmed. But as somebody in an admin view, you can view from the top down your whole organization as to what needs to be taken care of. Now, as we're walking this new customer through, maybe there are different certain fields that we need to assign here. So we can go ahead and check to make sure that Ken's contact information is filled out correctly. Maybe we need to go ahead and put an email to or a CC here, for example, and save it. And then we can go ahead and release it down to the next stage in the process, which would be your credit check, and making sure that you have your credit check, again, passing it on to the next queue, and it's moving in fluid motion with also the customer monitor here. So as we go ahead and apply a particular customer class, a particular payment term, we can go ahead and ensure that all of this information is actually filled out and accurate before we're actually allowing our sales team to execute against this customer. Again, cutting down those awkward calls that have to be made with customers. Oh, we don't have actual terms for you yet. How are we supposed to actually make this deal happen? Super important in distribution to make sure we have all our ducks in a row in that regard. And so in my scenario, like I said, we're not allowing a particular customer to be transacted against until the time we send out a welcome letter. The customer would also like to know when they're ready to be transacted against. And so at the time in my system where I have a welcome letter queue, you'll notice I have a rule to be evaluated true there and a welcome letter that is fired off to my individual customer. Again, bringing my email over, we'll notice that we have a nice welcome letter here. And again, for reference, a welcome letter here that can be generated in our system. We do a ton of configurable document creations. We do have the ability to pull in different SQL fields, make the document look presentable, your logos, how you want it to look, very welcoming to a new customer. And so at this point, we're actually ready to go ahead and transact against a customer in our system. Now, once we actually get to the point in our sales cycle where we're looking to manage a customer at a level that is, active. This customer has a ton of different orders in our system. We have a ton of different interactions. This is a customer who's been around a little bit for us. We have a couple of different functionalities that will allow you to keep tabs on that customer and those interactions, such as SalesPad Today, which is our calendar functionality that'll sync with Microsoft Outlook, as well as our interactions on a customer level. So our customer search works very similar to what we saw earlier. Go ahead and do a search for Aaron Fitz Electrical and pull their customer card open. One of the nice functionalities of SalesPad is once we're at a customer level, we can actually create this pop-up for customer notes. So this is requiring a user to go ahead and hit OK and verify that they've basically read this information before moving on. It's a good place to just store general information like this customer requires a specific ship method, or we've got a new price list for this customer. Go ahead and check a resources tab for that price list. Great place to just give general updates on a customer. But you'll notice we also have our interactions tab. And so as I mentioned, we're continually in contact with our customers, and where one sales rep might leave off, another one might want to pick up. Maybe you have a rep on vacation, or maybe you just have some turnover you're dealing with. either way, Interactions is here to make that process easier for you and to keep a central repository for all of those different communications with a customer. So obviously Aaron Fitz has been in our system for a little bit now. We've transacted against them a number of times, and we have a nice list of all of the different interactions that we've had with Aaron Fitz Electrical. We can go ahead and add an interaction into our system at any point, whether that be an email, business meetup, so on and so forth. So we could do a follow-up here. Follow up with Bob at Aaron Fitz Electrical, and go ahead and select which contact this is with at our customer, the type of contact this is, and select the date and time for them to start on. So today is going to be the 17th, and we'll go ahead and make this 4 p.m. And then the duration of this could just be a simple 15-minute call just to do a catch up, see how things are going. Being that I am an admin user, I can go ahead and also assign this to any of my different roles in the system. So if I have a group of sales individuals, we can actually send that out to a specific individual who's responsible for that account, and make sure that they know. They'll get an email notification that there's a task. They'll see that on their SalesPad Today calendar. We also have our interaction notes and resources on the right-hand side. So if I'm somebody who's going to be assigning something out to an individual group in the system, maybe I want to add a couple of notes with that, or attach some files that make that an easier process for them to actually dig into on their end. But if I'm satisfied with this interaction, I can go ahead and hit OK. You'll notice another follow-up with Bob has just been added here on our system, and then navigating back to our SalesPad Today calendar here, follow-up with Bob has now been added from 4 to 4:15, and we can push that out to Outlook as well with our integration. So you can keep a nice flowing list, make sure you're doing your tasks, and as you're completing your tasks or interactions, whatever those might be, you can go ahead and check those off. It'll cross that out, and when we go ahead and do a refresh, it'll pull that interaction off the calendar, so you'll know that that one is complete for the day. As I'd mentioned as well, you can see my email. I went ahead and created that task. I was the person who created it, but as somebody who was being assigned that task, you could get a nice email communication out letting you know that that task is has been created in SalesPad. So those are just a number of different ways that our Cavallo CRM can help you maintain that pipeline. From an admin perspective, there's a couple of things that I really wanted to make sure we touched on as well, namely 3 different types of reporting tools that are built into Cavallo SalesPad that can work in conjunction with the way that our CRM product works. The first of which is our dashboard viewer. Now, when it comes to our reports in SalesPad, we're using a report designing tool that is SQL based. So anyone who is at your organization that is kind of SQL handy can build these out. We do have query builder assistants built into them, as well as our support team and consulting teams that are here to help ensure that these look good for you. This is just a nice example of a sales report, for example, a number of our different graphs that we can go ahead and have up on the screen at one time. We've seen a lot of our customers have these reports untabbed. So as I'd mentioned before, you can untab them, pull them to a TV screen on your sales floor, for example. And if they're sales numbers, you can keep track of how those are going, new prospects per month by salesperson. And we do offer nice little tooltips as well throughout that'll give you a nice breakdown of the actual number and the actual rep that coincides with that bar graph. We have a nice pie chart down here. I am in the state of Michigan, but you can do a nice little hover. 42.7K, you can see your sales by territory. And of course, the sales comparison by year. So Erin is really pulling her weight according to this screen, or is it Gary? One of the two. And we can see just at a nice quick glance exactly the sales information that we need to see and have that listed for all of our reps to see as well. So again, that's a SQL visualizer that we're using there. When it comes to our sales analysis reporting tool, this tool is essentially just a working pivot table within SalesPad. So we're pulling all of that information related to your customers in. And what I love about it is it's pretty easy to use from a individual standpoint. Once you have your date range selected, it's just selecting categories and breaking that out. So right now we're looking at our customer activity report, but now we can see our customer activity per individual part number in our system. Now we can throw our cost in, for example, and compare. And comparatively, Excel is a tool that we kind of work with hand in hand. Also being able to export and import Excel documents into SalesPad. So whether that be a list of customers or a report like this, we can actually take that information, export it out to Excel, and make sure that you have that saved on file if needed. And last but not least is our quick reporting tool. So I just have a couple built out for today. Again, these are very SQL query based and just displaying it in a nice grid type format for you. In this example, we're looking at our prospecting quick report. So we're looking at actually prospects, but highlighting a particular sales rep within that query. So this is allowing us to pull information to the surface again. Naturally, your eyes are going to be directed right at Paul W.'s name here and being able to see the exact prospects that he's involved with. But taking that a step further, each of these columns do have filter tools as well. So if you just only wanted to view his data, you have the ability to do so. And that goes the same with our interactions reports. So we're actually able to query interactions. And again, if we wanted to filter that down to just Bob Fitz's interactions, we could do so and export all of that data out to an Excel spreadsheet or leave it here. Kind of dealer's choice when it comes to that. So just to recap the process, within Cavallo SalesPad, we have the ability to utilize the same tables as Dynamics GP. We're adding some of our own there, like we saw the opportunities in the prospects table to try and enhance and configure that CRM process for your individual business needs. So whether it's tracking your interactions, creating a sales quote, opportunities, accurate back-end reporting, we have you covered in that regard. So I'll kind of turn the keys back over here, open up the floor for questions. I know we have about 15 minutes left, but on behalf of Bob and myself, thank you guys for your time and consideration today. And please reach out to Bob if you have any sort of further contacts. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Awesome demo.
Appreciate it.
Chad, has there been any questions dropped into the control box?
As a matter of fact, just got one in. Perfect segue. We have a question from Paul. He says, you touched on the life cycle of GP, and I love seeing this extended support from Microsoft. Does Cavallo plan on supporting SalesPad desktop long-term as well?
Yeah, I can take that one. I would say absolutely. We don't see SalesPad going away anytime soon, and as long as Dynamics GP is available and out there, we'll have our product to support it. So, yeah, I don't see it going away anytime soon. We still have dedicated developers and product managers that are creating new feature sets all the time. Our last release being just a couple of days ago.
And just to add to that, we just added some new features and functions and capabilities into SalesPad. So we're continually adding features and functions to it, enhancing it and making a better experience for users and prospects. So yeah, just to echo what Colin's saying, no foreseeable future of SalesPad going away.
And if we want to take a look at one of those feature sets, be sure to tune into the next webinar here, because we're going to be showcasing the Analytics Cloud product that'll sync right into Cavallo SalesPad as well.
Great question, Paul. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Paul. I'm not seeing any other questions. So if any of you out there, this is your chance. Got some knowledgeable guys here, so feel free to send any questions in you have. I know if you're kind of like me, where you may not think of something at the moment, but down the road, please, we'll be happy to pass any questions along. But yeah, if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to ask those now. And as Colin mentioned earlier, and Bob as well, be sure to be on the lookout for that next webinar in September on the 14th, where Cavallo will be joining us once again for their Cavallo Workflow and Analytics Cloud products. So be sure to tune in for that, and we'll of course be sending out on our social media and emails promos for that. So be on the lookout for that here next month.
We're excited for that too, Chad. And if you folks are anything like me, it takes me like an hour or a day to think of questions, and I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have asked that question. No worries. bob.baresh@cavallo.com. Send me an email later on. Happy to address those. As Chad had indicated, we do have the slide deck as well as the fact sheet as a handout in the control panel. Cavallo.com if you want to see more. And appreciate the time. Look forward to hearing from you soon, and hopefully everyone has a great afternoon.
Yeah, I do have one other question, guys.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this one from Paul as well. He says, we use Ring Central for phone interactions. Any possibility of tie-ins to your CRM product with their API or other telephony integrations? Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Yeah, I'll take this one again. This is Colin. We have looked into and scoped out Ring Central integrations in the past. It's not out of the realm of possibility. We should have a statement of work on file if you want to reach out to Bob and see about what that cost would be. We'd be happy to give that to you. Something out of the box, though, it would take a little bit of further scoping, I think.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate the questions. That's awesome. That's what we like to see. Yeah, so if there's any other questions, please submit those. One last kind of housekeeping item. Once again, before I do go, I once again want to thank our friends from Cavallo. A lot of great information, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're of course happy to be joining you today and providing the platform. And thank you so much. A lot of really good information. One last thing, as Bob had mentioned, the kind of this series will be leading up to our GPUC event coming up in November, which is November 14th through the 18th. And I know Cavallo will be a big part of that day as being one of our premier partners, and so they will be there as well. So if you want to meet them in person, please come out and see us, guys. It's November 14th to the 18th. Of course, we're going to be doing a lot of heavy promos on that here in the coming weeks. It's our Great Plains User Conference, and really, just a way to reach out to us, to meet us. For us, more importantly, to meet you guys. A lot of just wonderful educational opportunities for you GP users. And we, of course, look forward to seeing all of you there in November. So please be on the lookout for some upcoming promo items for that.
Absolutely. I'd love to see everybody in fabulous Fargo at the Microsoft campus. It's a beautiful meeting space and a great campus.
Yes.
And, what better place to be in November than Fargo?
Well, the good news is, Bob, it's not quite, we're not quite in the dead of winter at that point. So it's
pre-winter.
Fairly decent fall. Like if you like fall-like weather, that's a good time to check Fargo out. So we're not 80 below at that point yet. So don't let that scare you away. We're still pretty decent fall weather in November. So. But yeah, be sure, definitely come check it out. And like Bob had mentioned, Microsoft does have a beautiful facility and meeting spaces. So we definitely hope to be seeing all of you there.
Yeah, we do have a Cavallo Day at GPUC too. So we'll be doing a number of different sessions as well as a social event. So we'd love to have you come join us then too.
Yep, absolutely. I believe that'll be on the Tuesday that week, if memory serves me correct, or correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Correct.
Definitely look forward to having you guys join us that day. So, but yeah, otherwise, thank you once again, Cavallo, and thank you once again, everybody who joined us today. That is the end of the presentation. So be sure to check us out again here in the coming weeks. Like I said, September 14th, Cavallo will be joining us again for their Workflow and Analytics Cloud. And thank you guys so much. Thank you, Colin and Bob. You guys did a great job today. And like I said, if anyone has any other questions you think of later, please reach out to us. And we'll be sure to pass anything along to Cavallo if we need to go that route too. But thanks again, everybody. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and have a fantastic rest of your week, everybody. Take care.